Today's talk is titled, What's So Good About Bad Bunny? To be delivered by Nancy Tholen. Thanks to her mother, Nancy Tholen was exposed to a wide variety of music. She grew up hearing Spanish operatic soprano Montserrat Caballé sing 17th century zarzuelas almost daily, musicals from Oklahoma to Hair, and Misa Lubra, a Latin mass sung Congolese style, just to name a few auditory treats. However, until very recently, Nancy avoided both rap and reggaeton and mixed up Bad Bunny with Pitbull because she thought they both had animal names. An episode of the podcast Code Switch made her revisit her prejudice about reggaeton and Bad Bunny, and she thinks it's healthy to question one's assumptions. Nancy, would you please come up?
So I am no expert on Bad Bunny, but I have read and listened to a lot in the last 2 weeks. So in February, more people tuned into Bad Bunny's halftime show than the Super Bowl game itself. In the first 24 hours after the halftime show aired, it was streamed from 2 NBC stations more than 4.1 billion times worldwide. The week before the halftime show, Bad Bunny won 3 Grammys, including for the best album, a first for an album entirely in Spanish. On Spotify, Bad Bunny and Taylor Swift regularly trade off having the most songs streamed during the year. Who knew? Despite his huge popularity, the idea of him performing the halftime show was so controversial that Turning Point USA scheduled an alternative show, calling it the All-American Halftime Show. There were complaints that Bad Bunny wasn't American, even though, as a native Puerto Rican, he has U.S. citizenship. And do you recall all the complaints about the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, U2 not being American when they performed? No. I didn't think so. Who is this Bad Bunny guy that he generates so much admiration and so much disdain? I find his huge popularity and the controversy he attracts fascinating. The more I've read about him in the past 2 weeks, the more I respect his restraint, his authenticity, his humanity, and what I see as a general embrace of the UU principles. I have to admit, I did not start out as a fan of Bad Bunny's music, though the more I listen, the more I like it and find some of his songs running through my head like constantly. Let's just say, initially, the lyrics to many hip-hop or reggaeton songs are extremely offensive to me. And to be clear, Bad Bunny has a potty mouth. Here's what softened my attitude. I listened to a podcast about Bad Bunny on the program Code Switch as part of the Moving Towards Racial Justice group a couple of years ago. It was very enlightening, as he seemed to be quite socially conscious. But I soon returned to my Bunnyless world, until the uproar about the Super Bowl halftime show. Bad Bunny seems to be extremely popular for several reasons. First, the styles of music he performs have been gaining popularity. Musicians in Panama started singing Jamaican reggae songs in Spanish during the 1980s. In the 1990s, Puerto Rican artists like DJ Playero and Daddy Yankee blended Panamanian roots with American hip-hop and local Caribbean rhythms to create modern reggaeton. Though initially marginalized due to its underground club roots and explicit lyrics, it exploded globally with hits like Daddy Yankee's Gasolina in 2004 and Luis Fonsi's Despacito in 2017. The Caribbean dance styles like perreo, which is called twerking in the US, took off too, along with salsa and cumbia. Perreo originated in Puerto Rico in the early 1990s. Miley Cyrus pushed twerking into mainstream pop culture in 2013, more than 10 years ago. I'm just saying this to point out that Bad Bunny did not start this trend, and it's been around long before he gained popularity. The second reason Bad Bunny is so popular, besides the growing popularity of reggaeton, is his social advocacy and expression of personal empowerment. He is proud and says everyone should be proud to be whoever they are. He celebrates people who are marginalized, and his videos often feature ordinary people, people who are queer, old, disabled, poor, have less than ideal body shapes, etc. He refuses to be categorized. In his song Caro, Expensive, he's saying, "Why can't I be how I am? How am I hurting you?" He's addressing critics who judge his lifestyle, appearance, or authenticity. During the halftime show, Bad Bunny delivered the following in a close-up, big close-up. "My name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, and if I'm here today at the Super Bowl, it's because I never stopped believing in myself. And you should believe in yourself. You're worth more than you think. Believe me." If this isn't an example of our first principle to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person, I don't know what is. Bad Bunny has a long history of using interviews, public announcements, and music releases to criticize government corruption, racism, and human rights violations. This contributes to his worldwide popularity. Let me give you a few examples. While a rising star in 2019, Bad Bunny stopped his European tour to join tens of thousands of citizens in the streets of San Juan, Puerto Rico, demanding the resignation of the governor, Ricky Rosello, following a leaked chat scandal nicknamed WikiLeaks. In one of the most offensive exchanges, the island's chief financial officer joked about the dead bodies piling up in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. The governor ultimately resigned. In 2020, Bad Bunny used his appearance on Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show to protest the murder of Alexa Negron Luciano, a homeless transgender woman killed in Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny wore a shirt which translated to English reads, "They killed Alexa, not a man in a skirt." The shirt's message refers to Puerto Rican news outlets that misgendered and dehumanized Alexa by referring to her as a man in a skirt. While wearing this shirt and a skirt, he sang a song called Ignorantes, which means ignorant ones. The song's actual meaning centers on a failed relationship and the regret, self-reflection, and longing that follows a breakup, not the stuff one usually associates with hip-hop music or reggaeton. Most recently at the Grammys on February 1st, he took the stage several times as he accepted multiple awards. For context, remember the Grammys were awarded about 1 week after Renee Goody and Alex Preddy were killed in Minneapolis. Bad Bunny said, "Ice out." And he stated, "We're not savages, we're not animals, we're not aliens. We are humans and we are Americans." In another acceptance speech, he urged love in the face of hate, saying the only thing that is more powerful than hate is love. That was also seen on a giant billboard at his halftime show. The third reason Bad Bunny is so popular seems to be his cultural pride and positive attitude. He loves Puerto Rico and all of the Americas. It's no wonder he is loved back. He refuses to sing in English so far. Well, there's a few words here and there. One of Bad Bunny's most consistent themes is pride in Puerto Rico and being Puerto Rican. A number of his songs talk about how beautiful the island is, how wonderful are the women, the food, the beaches, and so on. He celebrates everyday life and everyday people. There is a sweetness in some of his songs. Debe tirar más fotos, I should have taken more photos, is about regrets of not making the most of his time with his girlfriend, family, and friends. His song Me Fui de Vacaciones, I Went on Vacation, recounts visiting his favorite places in Puerto Rico. Although his lyrics can be very racy, Bad Bunny has demonstrated that he is also a sensitive man who cares deeply about his homeland. In a 2024 interview, He shed tears while discussing the lack of basic infrastructure in Puerto Rico, such as the blackouts and the closure of hospitals and public schools. He said Puerto Rico does not deserve what we experience every day. So many beautiful and badass things about PR and so much injustice. I see the Super Bowl halftime show as a love fest of all things Latino and specifically Puerto Rican. So how did Bad Bunny get so popular? To understand Bad Bunny's, how he rose to fame, a bit of history is needed. History was not my favorite subject, and I will give you a highlights reel to better understand Puerto Rico. So Christopher Columbus arrived in Puerto Rico in November 1493 during his second voyage to the Western Hemisphere and claimed the island for Spain. Puerto Rico has been a colony or a territory ever since. First of Spain, then of the United States. While we are on the cusp of celebrating 250 years of freedom, they are experiencing 533 years of occupation. When Columbus arrived, the island was inhabited by the Taínos. Sugar cane, coffee, and tobacco were brought to and planted on Puerto Rico. As the native Taíno people died in large numbers working the fields, enslaved Africans were brought to work the crops. The enslaved people created music like bomba, a symbol of resistance against slavery and a way to honor the African culture. Not surprisingly, Bad Bunny incorporates traditional bomba and plena rhythms into his song and brings live performers on stage. There were bomba dancers and traditional drummers in the halftime show at the beginning of the song Apagón. That's the one with the power poles. When the Spanish-American War ended in 1898, Puerto Rico and Guam were ceded to the U.S. as part of the Treaty of Paris. In the 1950s, the U.S. Congress approved a Puerto Rican constitution making the island an autonomous U.S. territory with the Puerto Ricans retaining American citizenship. Puerto Ricans on the island do not vote in the U.S. presidential election, but those living on the mainland can vote. Not surprisingly, there are Puerto Ricans who want to remain a U.S. territory and those who want to be an independent country. To oversimplify this, the arguments for Puerto Rican independence focus on sovereignty, cultural preservation, and decolonization. Independence advocates also argue that the current relationship primarily benefits U.S. corporate interests and that Puerto Rico has suffered under U.S. federal laws and fiscal oversight. On the other side, arguments against independence emphasize the economic reliance on the United States and fear the loss of federal funding, U.S. citizenship rights, and military protection. They receive Medicare, Medi-Cal, and nutritional assistance. Don't know how that's going to be affected by the big, beautiful bill. The financial crisis. In 2006, federal tax incentives expired for mainland companies invested in Puerto Rico, and the island entered a deep recession. Skipping further explanation, when the crisis peaked in May 2017, the island faced a crushing debt. 4 months later, Hurricane Maria slammed Puerto Rico. Turning to Hurricane Maria and the blackouts. I'm going to explain these a bit because Bad Bunny's initial popularity arose from these catastrophes. So in September 2017, Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. The number of deaths ranged from almost 3,000 to over 4,600. For the sake of comparison, Hurricane Katrina killed roughly a fourth as many people as Hurricane Maria. Importantly, Puerto Rico's electrical system was destroyed, plunging 3.4 million residents into a historic blackout. Many rural areas were without power for nearly a year, and people were electrocuted when they desperately tried to fix the wires when the utility companies failed to. Blackouts continue to plague Puerto Rico. Hurricane Maria dumped 38 inches of rain, resulting in 70,000 landslides that destroyed local bridges and roads. Approximately 250,000 homes were destroyed or severely damaged. Most people had no access to clean running water. Many residents fled, property prices plummeted. In subsequent years, the property value has skyrocketed, and now Puerto Ricans are priced out, usually. The government response to Hurricane Maria was pathetic at best. FEMA bungled assistance. Then President Trump famously tossed paper towels to an audience, and the government literally came up with a slogan telling its citizens, "Pick yourselves up. Puerto Rico se levanta." That's what my mom used to say. It's kind of a rough way of telling people to get up. It's like, levántate. It's like, get out of bed. That's, get up. So Bad Bunny, a college student and grocery store clerk at the time, released a trap song, "We're Okay, Estamos Bien." Estamos Bien resonated with the Puerto Rican population and became a profound cultural anthem of survival, solidarity, and defiance. Following Hurricane Maria, residents lost cell service, and weeks later, when finally able to connect, they often texted "Estamos Bien" to worried relatives, letting them know they were alive. Bad Bunny used that phrase as the song title, and it had two basic messages. First was a response to the "Pick Yourself Up" slogan. He sang, "We're okay. We've got plenty of $100 bills. We don't have to envy anyone." Estamos Bien then pivots to a message of gratitude for being alive, appreciating the small things, and thanking God that his loved ones survived the storm. Instead of focusing on images of destruction, the accompanying video showed Bad Bunny on the beaches, eating local foods, and hanging out with ordinary residents. It was a huge hit in Puerto Rico. A second Bad Bunny song, "Apagón," Blackout, was also hit a chord with the Puerto Rican people. It was a big hit and a significant part of the halftime show. It starts with the traditional bomba rhythm, expresses national pride, and contains a lot of profanity. But not in the halftime show. They cut all that out. The official video features many ordinary people, like a little girl flexing her muscles. The final lyrics pivot and are softly sung by a woman saying, "This is my beach, this is my sun, this is my land, this is me." Meanwhile, the government courted rich foreign investors, giving them tax breaks. The government also tried to increase tourism and was seen as catering to foreigners. Many Puerto Ricans feel they are being squeezed out for problems they did not create, while the government provides benefits to foreign companies and tourists. Turning to the halftime show. The announcement that Bad Bunny would perform the Super Bowl halftime show met with a mixture of enthusiasm from fans worldwide and criticism from many traditional football fans and political conservatives. Instead of attacking the haters, Bad Bunny presented a love of all things Puerto Rican. It was like a mini high-speed tour of Puerto Rican culture, much of it common throughout Latin America. I would love to run the entire 13-minute show, but we don't have time. I'll just hit a few additional highlights to the ones I already mentioned, such as about believing in yourself, and the show was in Spanish. The show opens with a man saying, "It's awesome to be Latino," not a common message in our society today. The playing field was converted into a sugarcane field with workers wearing straw hats. Bad Bunny appears singing about having a string of girlfriends but not getting married as he walks past many iconic Puerto Rican features. Among the images shown as he walks through the sugarcane is a stand selling coconuts, men playing dominoes, a manicure at a table, a stand selling piraguas, which is shave ice, a taco stand, boxing, and a jewelry stand. These not only represent things commonly seen in Latin America's tropical regions, but also demonstrate the hustle economy where people make their own employment. At the jewelry stand, now remember he's singing about he's not getting married. The proprietor hands a ring to Bad Bunny, who then hands it to another man. That man drops to his knee and proposes to a woman. Their wedding takes place later in the show, and it was a real wedding. The story is that the couple invited Bad Bunny to their wedding, and he turned around and invited them to his halftime show. Pretty cool. After watching the proposal, the camera shifts to Bad Bunny at a house party with some Latino celebrities and lots of dancing. He then sings on a truck, delivers a message about believing in yourself that we talked about, and tells everyone they are valuable. The camera cuts to the conclusion of the wedding, and Lady Gaga sings a salsa version of one of her hits. She and Bad Bunny dance salsa to his song, Baile Inolvidable, Unforgettable Dance, which is a very romantic song, and I recommend the video. Bad Bunny falls off a roof and suddenly lands in a barrio in New York, and with the song Nueva York, complete with a small market, barbershop, and the Latina matriarch Tonita handing him a drink. The camera jumps to a family watching Bad Bunny win a Grammy, then Bad Bunny enters and hands his Grammy to the little boy who was watching the show. Next, a 10-string instrument is played, and Ricky Martin sings Lo que pasó a Hawaii, which was one of the readings earlier. It warns Puerto Ricans not to let their island become like another Hawaii, where the native people were displaced by wealthy foreigners. Suddenly, we see peasants on power poles and hear the bomba beat starting Apagón, blackout. Bad Bunny emerges from sugarcane holding the Puerto Rican flag. But the blue section of the flag is not the royal blue, but rather a light blue. This flag is a symbol for independence. Music switches to the upbeat song Café con Ron, and people run in carrying flags of all of America, led by the USA and the official Puerto Rican flag, darker blue. Speaking in English, Bad Bunny states, "God bless America," then proceeds to name 24 American countries from South, Central, North America, and some of the island nations. The words, he is carrying a football that says, "Together we are America." The words, "The only thing more powerful than love is hate," appear on a huge billboard in the background as Bad Bunny walks off singing, "I should have taken more photos." I'd say Bad Bunny promotes the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, just as our sixth principle states. The idea of Bad Bunny performing at the halftime show met with a lot of criticism, but Bad Bunny responded with love and pride. He sent a message to young people to believe in themselves. He reminded us that America is bigger than the United States, that love is stronger than hate. He showed us how much there is to love about Latin American culture. Its music, its food, its dancing, its roots, its beaches, its traditions. And what's so bad about that?